We're talking about a simple but really powerful truth about how reality actually works. It's all about transforming your life from the inside out. So let me just start by asking this one big question. What if everything you've been searching for, everything you want, isn't something you need to go out and find? What if it's already here, just invisible to you right now because of where your head's at? This one idea, it's the key to everything else we're about to unpack. So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to walk through 5 main ideas. We'll start with this concept of reality as a mirror. Then we'll get into something called the seeker's paradox. After that, we'll talk about surviving the gap, and you'll see what I mean by that. Then, the really crucial difference between ignoring and denying reality. And finally, we'll lay out a simple 4-step path to get you to a state of genuine openness. Okay, first up, the big metaphor. I want you to start thinking of the world not as something that happens to you, but as a giant mirror that's just reflecting you back at yourself. You know, what you see out there in the world, it's a direct reflection of what's going on inside of you. And this really shows you the mistake we all make. I mean, think about it. If you look in the mirror and you see a frown, you wouldn't try to reach out and force the reflection to smile, right? That's crazy. You'd change the expression on your own face, and the mirror would just naturally, instantly reflect it back. But in life, this is what we do all the time. We're constantly trying to change the outside world, the reflection, without ever changing our own internal state first. So, that idea of the mirror leads us straight into our second point, something called the seeker's paradox. And it really explains why the very act of desperately looking for something can actually be the thing that pushes it further away. I'm sure you've heard this famous quote from Rumi before. It's a really comforting thought, isn't it? It kind of suggests that whatever you want also wants you. But there's a much deeper layer to this that most people totally miss. And honestly, it's a complete game changer. You see, a more accurate way to understand this is that what you're looking for is already within you. It's not out there somewhere. That love or that peace or that success you're after, it has to be an internal feeling first. Because when your whole focus is on seeking, you're basically shouting to the universe that you don't have it. You're reinforcing a feeling of lack. And that mirror of reality, it can only reflect that feeling of lack right back at you. So naturally, this brings up a really practical question. You're probably thinking, okay, fine, I get it. I've started to change how I feel on the inside, so where's my new reality? Why hasn't anything changed yet? And this is where we have to talk about a super important phase called the gap. The gap is just that. It's a gap in time. It's the delay between you changing your internal expression, your face in the mirror, and the time it takes for the mirror of reality to update its reflection. Now, this is a totally natural part of the process, but honestly, it's the exact point where most people get discouraged, lose faith, and just snap right back to their old way of being. And this shows you exactly why that delay exists. Look, you might have 10, 20, maybe even 30 years of momentum built up as your old self, thinking the same thoughts, feeling the same feelings, doing the same things over and over. A single internal shift is incredibly powerful, but it has to work against all those years of momentum. So the most important thing you can do is just trust the process while you're in this gap. And here it is. This is the real test. Ask yourself, have you truly changed if you only feel good once the outside world changes to match what you want? No. Real, lasting transformation is when your external reality can stay exactly the same for a while, but your internal state, your peace, your joy, your certainty has fundamentally shifted anyway. That is when you know for sure that the change is real. Okay, so how in the world do we actually navigate this gap without giving up? Well, this brings us to what might be the most practical tool in this whole explainer, learning the massive difference between ignoring reality and denying it. Getting this distinction is everything. Denying reality is just being delusional. It's pretending your bills don't exist, right? But ignoring reality in this specific context means you observe it, but without having a big emotional reaction. You see your current circumstances, you acknowledge them, but you don't feed them your energy. You don't give them resistance or anger or that poor me feeling. You just become neutral. You're present with what is without letting it mess with your internal state. And let's be real, when we're stuck reacting to reality, it's usually because one of these old protective patterns kicks in. But here's what you need to hear. You are not a people pleaser. You are not your attachment style. These are just survival strategies that your nervous system learned a long time ago to feel safe. They are patterns. They are not you. And just seeing that is the first massive step to freedom. All right, let's bring this all home and put it together into a really clear, actionable journey. This is the path you can take from that state of contraction and reaction to one of genuine openness and flow. So it all starts with contraction, that tight, uneasy feeling where you sense a loss of safety. From there, we naturally move into protection, where we use those old patterns, like trying to control things, to make ourselves feel better. But the real pivot point, the place where all the magic happens, is step 3, neutrality. This is where you learn to just watch your patterns happen without judging them. And it's only from that calm, observant place that you can then consciously make a new choice, to be open, to be authentic, to be you no matter what that mirror is showing you at the moment. And this, right here, is the absolute heart of it. You don't practice being open as some kind of tool to manipulate reality. That's just a sneaky form of control. You choose to be open and authentic and joyful simply because that is who you've decided you are. The changing reflection in the mirror, that's just a bonus. It's a byproduct of you being genuinely you. So we want to leave you with this final thought. Just take a moment and really truly ask yourself, who would you be? How would you act? How would you feel right now in this moment if you completely let go of waiting for the reflection to change first? The answer to that question, that's where all your power is.